Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with My Hero Academia Season 4. We're on episode 11, and in the last episode we had a really cool episode, pretty much, outlining the whole family vibe that the League of Villains has now, sort of gained, I suppose, over the last season, which is really nice to see, because I feel like when you can flesh out the villains as well as the heroes, it just makes everything better all round, and it makes the inevitable fights that are going to end up coming up at some point between the heroes and the League of Villains more meaningful when you can, kind of understand and possibly empathize with the villains as well. Like, I definitely do with Twice. I just think he's so fleshed out, and I find him very interesting. He's kind of like a character that, whilst everyone when he first cropped up basically said, that's Deadpool, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's not Deadpool, obviously there's like similarities, and he possibly was the inspiration for the character, but I feel like apart from that, he's such a unique character that I don't think I've ever really seen before, because of, the whole, being split between, a bunch of different versions of him, and, he's not even sure if he's the right one anymore, kind of thing, and because of that, he's like fucked up. But it was a really cool episode last episode anyway, to sort of flesh out the League of Villains, and it's going to be interesting to see if they team up temporarily, like a temporary truce with with Aizawa and Midoriya, against the Hesai guy. We'll see, but I may have just read that quote wrong, but it seemed like that's what they were saying. But we don't know. We'll see. Anyway, yeah. So other than that, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. So yeah, if you do want to watch a reaction, obviously it's in the link in the description below, so you can go watch the highlights over on Vimeo or on my website or anything like that. And if you do want to watch the full-length reaction to this episode, then you can do by going to my Patreon and becoming a full-length tier patron as well. But yeah, if you can't afford it, then the 10-minute reaction or whatever is obviously down there. But yeah, there's nothing else to really talk about, so we're going to get in episode 11 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Episode 11. Fucking hell. I should have known. I don't know. It was in my head throughout the episode, and I'm like, because I'd realised how poetic it is that his name is Lemillion because he wants to save 1,000,000 people and he ends up saving one. Like, it's poetic, like, that he gives up his quirk just to save one person, because it means that much. Oh man, fuck, that's tough, man. And he was still fighting effectively without his quirk. Fucking hell, Mirio's badass, man. That's like, I was waiting for this. I was waiting for the fucking moment for Mirio to actually see him fight again. When the stakes were high, and we got it. And I think that's the only way. That's the only one we're getting. But Jesus, man, that was I should have known. I should have known. You know what it was? A few weeks back when I reacted to episode 9, I watched the opening, and it's the moment where Deku and Eri are flying through the air in the opening, right? And Mirio isn't there. Now I know that he turns up. I don't know, is it the ending or whatever, where Mirio's on one side and Deku's on the other, and it's kind of them two. But it was weird to me that Deku and Mirio were both there on either side of Eri, right? Yet in the opening, only Deku was flying through the air to try and grab a hand. And I was thinking, shit. I mean, throughout the whole thing with Mirio going on ahead, I was worried that he would die. And then in this episode, when they pointed out that they'd perfected it, and and now they can completely annihilate a quirk. It was in my head, and I was like, I tried to tell myself that it wasn't going to happen, but I mean, considering I guess that's the only one we're getting, unless for some reason, and honestly, I don't want it to be the case, really, because of the sake of the story, unless there's like a guy with a quirk out there that can restore it, which I hope that that's not the case. Of course, it would be great to just have Mirio with his quirk, but I just feel the event is too poetic not to have it. I mean, when he the idea, he's called Lemillion because he wanted to save 1 million people, and he gave it up to save one. I feel like I just feel like it's so poetic, but it's gutting. It's really gutting. If that's considering that's the one fight I guess we get with him, like it's up there. Like he fucking it was badass. I love him. I love the way he permeated his foot through Eri. That was so cool. That was fucking amazing. Like the sheer detail of hard work there. I mean, that's his thing, right? It's like, it's not that my quirk is strong, it's that I've made it that strong because I'm able to control it so well. Oh man, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I'm so torn. Every so often I'll get this episode where I'm like, because it'll go away that overall I like, but it comes at the cost of something. And it's like, I don't know how to feel, because I'm like up on the fence, and I'm like, on one hand it's like I'm so gutted that that's what he gave, but I'm so proud of him at the same time. So it's like I can't be, I can't be mad at it. But the fact that because he was so he's so awesome, man. Whoa. It's like the same feeling I got when All Might had his last fight, Of course, it's not as like big an event as that, because I mean, All Might is, he's the symbol of peace, and he's kind of like he was like the be all end all, like, for everyone. He was the start of everything really for this show, All Might, So of course it wasn't a big event as that, but I get the same feeling, because it's like, it's somebody who was so, like, he was there, like, he was ready to fucking, like, he would have been number one at some point. He would have been. There's no way you couldn't tell me otherwise. Mirio would have been. And now it's like, like, even though he can, like, he's got combat prowess. I mean, we just saw it there. He didn't have his permeation anymore, and he was still being able to fucking, I mean, because I was thinking, like, when he was meeting up with, when he first, got Overhaul in his sights and he's talking to him, I'm like, the quirk matchup here is almost perfect for Mirio. And it was interesting, because Mirio's is permeation, which means that, Overhaul's quirk will only work if it can touch the thing that he's trying to disassemble, reassemble, and whatever. And because because Mirio's got permeation, it means that he's not really in much trouble because of that. But he was still fucking fighting, like, knowing all of that. And all it was taking was dodging, He got pierced through the leg, he got pierced through the fucking, like, stomach, sternum, whatever the fuck. Big three, fucking damn right. Jesus. I mean, fucking hell. It's when you see shit like that, and I have to go back to when Night Eye's like, Mirio should have had the one for all thing, and it's like, fucking hell, could you imagine? Could you imagine? But that's the thing, is like, it's a similar thing to like with the Bakugo thing, like why did, like, you know, when Bakugo was asking like why him, and All Might's like, because, you know, he had the heart of a hero, and I thought that he should have a chance to step into the ring, you know. And it's like, I think Mirio was just in the same thing, you know. He didn't need the fucking the one for all power. Just through his quirk and sheer hard work, he made his quirk like almost unbeatable. And he did that on his own. He didn't need one for all. And now oh. I mean, the whole thing of like these bullets and the power within them and stuff, which clearly comes from Eri. That's what they were saying, that they perfected Eri's sort of quirk, or the use of it anyway. That's an interesting topic, I think, as well, because, and I don't know how I feel about it yet, because it's kind of like, it allows for there to be circumstances of sort of being able to affect characters without killing them. You know, like, I think it's easy for the show now to use that as a way to, instead of killing off a character, just getting rid of their quirk. You know, and I don't know how I feel about it yet, because I don't know how they're going to use it. That's my thing, right? I hope that it doesn't come to a point where they, you know, because I feel like this show can really I don't want there to not be any consequences, and I think because obviously being able to take away a quirk is a massive consequence. And in some regard, I feel like it's easy to just determine that as almost like a life, like they might as well be dead because they don't have a quirk. I also want to feel like this show is one of those where it's like the question is always in the air of like, it's not the quirk that makes the person, you know. It's like in Spider-Man. If anyone's seen, you know, which one is it? It's not the Far From Home one. Homecoming, that's the one, right? Where Tony Stark basically says to Spider-Man, it's like, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. And I feel like it's in the same way. I feel like the show should be the same way. Like, if you're nothing without the quirk, then, you know, you shouldn't really have it. I mean, I say that, and then Bakugo's like my favorite character, you know. But I feel like there has to be something there. Bakugo's growing, you know, and he does have his pride, and his main thing is winning. It's not this show. You know, the world in which this, like, you know, this show, you know, inhabits is not the same. Like, there are different things. Being number one and everything like that does have almost like a place in this world. You know, and you know, you can sort of liken that to being the symbol of peace. Like, you know, being so strong because you are number one, and everything that people don't have to worry, kind of thing. You know. I don't want the bullets to be. I don't want them to just take away a quirk instead of killing someone. You know, I feel like there has to be some consequence where like people can die. You know, and if it has to be like, you know, quite a prominent character for the sake of the story, then fair enough. I'm not saying that they should die just because then, you know, just to say like, oh well, there are consequences. You know what I mean? It has to be right, and it has to be at the right time. It has to be for the right reasons. And I feel like this worked. I feel like it worked really well for Lemillion. I think obviously the show was written with this whole thing in mind, bringing up Lemillion and Overhaul at roughly the same time, because of the whole, you know, I think it's clear as of right now that, you know, Overhaul sees it as he sees the quirks as a disease, Um, and because he was fixing something up to get rid, like completely annihilate quirks, that it would make sense with Lemillion's character, and because of that, it is perfect, even though it sucks. But yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, that's so crazy, man, so crazy. God, I don't know where else to go. Right, so interestingly enough, Overhaul can. It's not just Moloch. It's not just people that he can do this, but he can do it with anything. Then I assume forming stuff into like spikes to use as a weapon. Yeah, so that's another facet of what he can really do. Like before, it was like, well, last episode I was talking about, well, Rapper, he has to go in and go in hand to hand, and he can't fight from far away, but Chisaki can fight from far away by using that as well. So he can fight from range, which, yeah, I mean, I felt them as well getting pissed off, because beforehand he seems very calm, Overhaul, because I guess it's just easy for him, but when getting like pissed off, you can definitely feel it. Interesting little backstory there, that he doesn't like when people say his name Chisaki, which he said that he abandoned, and we got the background there that he's not actually a real a biological son of that family, which is interesting. And yeah, I mean, speaking of family as well, the whole Eri thing, when Lemillion came in and said, the daughter thing. Sorry, I completely forgot that was the when they met the first time in the alleyway, that Overhaul was using that as a story, right, to try and not cause panic and everything like that, right, and just being like, oh, it's fine, just a kid going nuts, and that was the reason why why Lemillion called out his daughter. I just thought that maybe he was privy to some information that Eri was actually his daughter, so I just completely forgot. But yeah, I mean, I said in obviously the discussion back then that I don't think it is his daughter, and that it's something else, And it feels like now, I think if I'm going to put out a theory there, it would be the fact that Overhaul killed her parents and took her for his own because he wants her quirk in order to obviously get rid of quirks, and that's what he calls a disease. So yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what's with the like the disease sort of look, like spots and everything that he gets on his face. Like, what is that from? Is that from use of his quirk or what? Because it seems to only happen when he gets really kind of pissed off. I don't know. Could just be a visual, I suppose, but I don't know. It's interesting nonetheless. Yeah. Other than that, we got some Twice and Himiko when they showed up. And we've got the sort of details of their quirk as well. So Himiko, the more she drinks, the longer she can stay transformed. She can drink multiple and then change into them at will. So there's that. And then Twice needs like exact measurements. That's what the tape measure was for, which is interesting, because I remember when he used that when we first kind of, like within like the first few episodes when we like met him in the show. That he got out like it was a tape measure at the time, and I wondered why. Like, I was like, that's his like weapon of choice. And I guess if I'd like really look into it, I kind of would have figured it out, considering what his quirk was. But yeah, it's just interesting that that's what it was. So yeah, it needs exact measurements, and he can make up to 2 of other people, and the second clone is weaker than the first one. So yeah, he says he can make up to 2 of other people, but when he made them from himself, he made multiple, right? Like, there was like 8 or something like that. There may be more, I don't know, but there was a hell of a lot more than 2 clones that he made. But yeah. And then we got Shin Mamoto, whose quirk, I forgot the name, but being able to command other people. And it's said that in some circumstances he's able to get the truth out of someone who doesn't even know it. How does that work? I don't even know. Like, does that mean, like, in regards to like information that they are privy to, but they don't know the exact details. But like, so for example, if I was to, it's like me piecing together a jigsaw puzzle. It's like me piecing together a jigsaw puzzle of information that I have, and then determining via all of this information what the outcome is or what the answer is. I guess if that's what it is. Like, so I'm trying to think of like some sort of like analogy or like what I can. So if I don't know, if I have information like A and B, and the answer is C, right? So I have A and B that equal C, but I don't know what the answer is yet, right? If I have information A and B, would he be able to tell me, like, try and get me to answer what A and B is? And because of the information that I have A and B, I'm able to get C, even though I wouldn't have thought of it myself beforehand. If that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it in the most, oh, I don't know. I feel like that must be what it is, because otherwise, what? Like, because they have to know some information about it, surely. If it would have to be, because then they're getting information that they just don't have at all. But I don't know. But yeah, so like him, and then we have Diodoro Sakaki. I think the quirk name was sloshed. I think. So I was thinking when he was first affecting Mirio that it was just like being drunk and giving that over to people within the sort of basically the radius of where he was, depending on how big that sort of radius is. I was wondering if being drunken was the only thing that you'd be able to pass on, or if it's like or different states you would be able to pass on. Like maybe it was like an emotional thing as well. But I suppose drunken state like is like different. It's not really sort of a mental state more than it's just like lack of mental state, I suppose. So I guess yeah, it wouldn't be the same. But that's a mad fucking quirk. Like how do you even find that out? I guess when he was of age, he just went out drinking and then noticed like I guess he had like sober buddies with him and realized that they were getting drunk too, even though they it's interesting. But yeah, crazy. And yeah, for a second as well, the League and Heroes did team up, though it was very secondhand. So the League was basically pissing off Mimic to a point where he would give away his position, and then Deku broke the wall open. Aizawa was able to get him and get him out of there as well. So yeah, it was like a temporary team up, which was really cool. And now they know that they're not on the same page clearly. So yeah, however that affects things, we'll have to wait and see. I like the fact that they didn't. They clearly pointed out, or Aizawa clearly pointed out before they started this mission, like if the League of Villains ever get involved, that's it, we're getting out of there. But that's not happening. Like they're still just going ahead, I guess it's just too far into this point, but I just find it funny that they made a note of that scene to actually be there. If the League of Villains are involved, then you get that's you done. But then when they do get involved, it doesn't matter anyway. They're still there. But yeah, and yeah, I mean that's all I've got. God, I am struggling to explain how cool fucking Lemillion was this episode. Like, I guess he had to be, because otherwise everyone would have been like dissatisfied with how things went in regards to he had to show how fucking badass he was this episode, because in the same episode he was that was pretty much it. Like even next episode he's not really gonna I mean he might get a chance to shine a bit, but I mean the majority of what he can do has been done now. Deku's coming in to save his life. I just don't know where he goes from now. I feel like he still could be a hero. Like, I mean, he's got some, like combat prowess. So I suppose, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just sad. I can't get over how poetic it is. Sad times, man. But yeah, I mean that's all I've got. So yeah, that's that. Oh man, so gutting. Anyway, yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that would be very much appreciated. I am trying to get back to doing this full time like I was doing in 2018, so if you do want to help me out with that, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with on there. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunt x Hunt every week as well. So that's there's plenty on there that you can go watch and get caught up. There's $10 there for full length. That doesn't matter for Hunt x Hunter because that's full length anyway. But for the likes of My Hero Academia, Mob Psycho, The Promised Neverland, everything like that, you will need full length for that. So you can go enjoy that if you wish. And there's other tiers there where you can pay to have me react to a show. So if you want me to react to a certain show, then yeah, you can go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that is all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.